Welcome to the Reddit library. Today, we'll be looking at r/AskReddit, where the user SauceX asked the question, Doctors of Reddit, what's the best asking for a friend story you've heard? Wife's dad is a urologist. When we first started dating, a friend of mine wanted her to ask if any of the male enlargement pills were legit and actually worked. She went with the asking for a friend approach, and he immediately assumed she was talking about me. Thanks, babe. So, do they? Asking for a friend. He said no, but I think your friend should try anyways. One girl was interested in laxatives for a friend. She tried to learn everything about the dose, where, what to buy, and how to drink. She was brought in a week later with complete intestinal atony. She tried to lose weight so much and drank 2 or 3 tablets at a time. Oh, I have more stories like that, lol. Hope you get better. I asked my doctor about AA for a friend of mine. Really, years later, the doctor still asked me how I'm doing with my sobriety. I've stopped trying to convince him I was really asking for a friend. So, how are you doing? Staying clean and all? Edit. Wow, my first silver and my most upvoted comment at the same time. Also, looking at the comment below, I have both username checks out and relevant username. I'm doing fine, Dr. I've Kartoabar. This is genius. I was asked the following. So if I swallow man stuff and flush it down with vodka, do I still get pregnant? She was in her early 20s. She waited for her actual friend who broke her nose in a bar fight. So if I swallow man stuff, flush it down with vodka, do I still get pregnant? Actually, I'd say the odds are pretty good. I couldn't contain myself. I was just an intern and she sat in the waiting room, not a patient. So I asked, how much did you swallow? She said that he came twice. So I said that vodka saved her. You lied to her. If you swallow man stuff and flush it with vodka, you get a Russian baby. ER doc. Had a guy who just got out of jail a few days earlier came in with his GF who had signed in for an STD check. Walk in to meet them and he says casually, is it possible to get gonorrhea in your throat? At that moment, I knew he had gonorrhea in his throat. So, how would my friend know if he had gonorrhea in his throat? Having a very cat throat. Ugh. Jolly Ranchers. Lady walks in and goes, so if you cheated and got pregnant, but then had sex with your husband, would the baby become his? It took everything in me not to laugh. I would have crud myself laughing. Go on, we are watching. Go ahead, pee. Not a doctor, but a pharmacist. Someone called the pharmacy one day, a young guy. I picked up. Excuse me, how much does Viagra cost? Is there anything cheaper? I have someone that needs it. I explain everything and suddenly, will it work if I take it with alcohol? The guy began asking for someone else. At the end, it was for him, and he was asking just because he wanted his little one to work while drunk. So, does it work? Asking for a friend. It'll stay up, but you probably won't be able to finish. Also, don't take things that mess with your circulation, blood pressure, on top of alcohol. There are easier ways to have a really dumb night out. Yes, sir. My friend thanks you. Not a doctor, but a public health worker. Kinda not safe for work. Had an older man come into our clinic asking for a specific type of STD check. Guy's ex-wife was going around telling rumors that he was having sex with his goats, so was wanting to know if there was a way he could do a STD test that would prove if he hadn't had sex with any goats. Though his whole conversation, he just abruptly asks, so if someone was having sex with a goat, what STDs could they get? That dude is totally messing around with his goats. Edit. Typo. Doesn't sound like a rumor to me. Oh. My father is a doctor, and he got a call once in the middle of the night from his call share doctor's patient. The man asked what to do about a bump on his friend's arm that he scratched and something came out. He mentioned it was leaking a little oil now. It was a zit. He scratched a pimple. Woke the whole family up at 3 a.m. because he had to page my dad over his zit. How old was this man? 13. Go back to bed, Doogie. Not a doctor, but I used to work next to an AA pharmacy, and my boss, a 55-year-old man, asked me to go buy him some condoms for his nephew. Edit. A pharmacy, not AA pharmacy. My phone likes to double letters. Alcoholics Anonymous Pharmacy. Studies have been done about the effects of THC on glaucoma. When I worked for a glaucoma specialist, we had a yippie type person come in with their family member for a new patient eval and ask the doctor to sign paperwork okaying a medical marijuana script for the patient's glaucoma. Problem was, the patient was totally fine, didn't find any signs of the disease, and his eye pressure was within normal limits. And the doctor did not appreciate having someone try to trick him. To piggyback off of this, and because I'm tired of the questions, marijuana only lowers your eye pressure for max 4 hours. To have sustained effects, you need to hit the blunt 6 times a day and nearly 2,200 times a year. Take the damn eye drops. I know a lot of stoners that would take that as a challenge. Eye doctor here. Finally closed our offices to all but emergency care. Last year or so, I had a staff member ask me, for a friend, if she got shot in the eye with man stuff and is now getting mild discharge, is that okay? I looked at her eye and saw discharge, went to the cabinet, gave a bottle of antibiotic to her for her friend, and then went back to my patients. 2 days later, I look at her and say, "Your eye is looking much better today." She says, "Thanks, the discharge stopped a half a day after using the drops." So her eye was pregnant, right? Unlikely, but she can no longer see women with that eye. She can only see men. Edit. Awards. TY. I'm a veterinarian. When taking dog temperatures rectally, an owner going, "Mummy doesn't like that either." Oh, I'm so glad my dog is the opposite. Took her in once because she was yelping and limping randomly, and I thought it was because she pulled a muscle, possibly related to a little arthritis she has in her knee. It was heart-wrenching to see her avoid greeting us because she was in pain. She also retired pharmaceutical research beagle, and as a veterinarian took her leg through the motions, trying to see if anything was causing her pain, she said, "I don't know if she would complain if any of this did hurt her. She's also well behaved on the table. She'd let us do anything to her." Yes, she absolutely would, except for her nail trims, blood draws, urinary draws. Thermometers are all fine, but don't touch her paws. We had been using Valium for nail trims, but based on her history as a working dog who still responds to handling as a cue to stay perfectly still, we decided to start using a Thunder shirt. She seems to be doing just as well in a Thunder shirt as with Valium now. Not a doctor, but was mistaken for one by a drunk dude at a costume party once. Okay, twice. Sent him to sober up the first time. Comes back 5 minutes later with no recollection of our first conversation and asks me for painkillers, and at which dose they kill you. I gave him the number for the suicide prevention hotline on a napkin and told him that they can help with the issue. He happily staggered away, and I haven't heard from him since. Either he got help or he didn't, but either way, it was a weird experience. General practitioner here. One of my non-medical friends asked me that his friend wants to know a good home remedy for an STD. I told him a tablespoon of powdered detergent mixed in 1 glass of water should work. Next thing I know, he's in my kitchen stirring a glass. What exactly is this remedy good for? Asking for a friend. Getting the stains out of your underwear? Your friend's underwear. I'm directly related to a nurse. More than once I've approached her with a question, for a friend, that actually was for a friend. I asked for a friend about hormone therapy. She had just come out to me as trans and I wanted direct information in order to help her as best as I could. I did not expect my doctor to dig out my old blood work and tell me that my transition from female to male would be easier than most due to the already high amounts of testosterone in my body. She asked me every once in a while if I'm ready to start treatment. I don't know if it's a joke or if she legitimately thinks I'm trans, as I've explained why I've asked in depth multiple times. Not a doctor, but one of the friends. My friend walked into the nurse's office asking if size matters when it comes to the purchasing of condoms. The nurse sat there in awe looking at my friend. Needless to say, no matter how big your dong is, condom size doesn't matter all that much. This was in 7th grade. Actually, it does matter. A lot of dudes can't stay hard when the condom is too tight. If it's too large, it runs the risk of coming off. Some guys go years thinking they have an ED problem when they've just been wearing the wrong size because they don't know it mattered. Some babies come from a condom slip. I think it's a super fair question to ask, especially from a 7th grader. And it's an absolute shame that a medical professional in an educational environment was too dumbfounded or ignorant to actually answer this question. Honestly, good on your friend for having the courage to ask about it and take responsibility for his sexual health. Shame on the adult in this situation. Another family medicine doc called an ER yesterday on the cell phone asking what to do when you get soap in your eyes. Choose wisely, folks. I mean, it says so on the bottle. In case of contact with eyes, rinse thoroughly and contact a medical professional. Better safe than sorry. Not a doctor, but I saw this dude say to a doctor, "Can two white people have a black child?" Asking for a friend. The man's wife had an affair. Edit. The dude had the baby in the stroller, and when he was walking out, he looked like he was going to yeet the child, and I was secretly dying inside. That's rough. He must have had so many emotions running through his head. I wonder if the guy ever suspected anything before his wife gave birth. Wonder why she's always watching Medea movies. Divorced women, cougars, like to explain muscle strains as sex injuries to get a rise out of docs. Best way to deal is to stay monotone and not react. Patient describes proximal adductor muscle pain in hip flexor during recreational activity. Rated 7 out of 10. Pain is now present during ablution. If you don't react, they move along. Doesn't take long in the office to have seen and/or heard everything. I'm not interested that you were recently divorced, started working out, and discovered Tinder. Good on you, but it takes more to get a rise out of me. One colleague in training had a professional cuddler with a similar injury. Doc was very conservative, possibly on the sheltered side, and in front of his two superiors during the case, and she was not shy. I would add she was not visually what I assume most would hope for in a professional cuddler either. That one I enjoyed, on account of him, not her. Takes more to get a rise out of me. So, what does it take, Doc? Do you have any interesting asking for a friend stories? Let us know in the comments below and you might get a chance to be featured in an upcoming video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos from the library, and thank you so much for watching.